Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana for the Fall Classic 4-Wheel Jamboree Nationals. It's a cool, crisp, beautiful day, and we're headed out for the final race of this year's Class 6 Mud Drags. The track preparation is underway. On the other side of the midway, it's the show and shine competition with the trucks and Jeeps getting all set to compete. But the story today is going to involve the Class 6 paddle tires and the guys who drive on them. Check out the points. There's a four-way tie for number 2. These are all heavy hitters behind Tom Martin, Jeremy Finley, Steve Behrman, Dan Brown, and a big name, Fred Wilhite, who Army's going to check in with. Army?
One of the heavy hitters you were talking about, Fred Wilhite's money pit, is not even out of the trailer. He stayed in the stall today, so to speak, because we understand Fred was involved in a rule infraction. And Fred, tough break to run so hard all year long, get to the final and not be able to go for that crown.
Yeah, we thrashed quite a bit. We didn't have the car done until last night. Special thanks to Jim Audie, Bill, and Blaine at A&P Performance Engine Rebuilders. But it was a rule infraction that I didn't think was that drastic. They thought it was, so I just got to abide by their saying.
What we're saying here is all the numbers start to funnel down, and basically if you're going to live by the rules, you're going to die by the rules.
Rules may not be the biggest problem, though, in today's action. Take a good look at the track. You'll see that it's not in the best of shape. In fact, it's been giving the promoters of the event and the drivers especially a lot of trouble. Earlier, they had to postpone Class 5 action because you'll see, as this vehicle does, the vehicles have a tendency to porpoise. See how the front end gets sideways there, and that can cause a real problem. Army?
The racers are coming from all over the country to race in some of this good old Indiana mud. However, the mud that I just stepped in, that's not the mud they're going to be racing in. If you look at the track, you can see the front end loaders having some trouble as they try to prep the track because the mud is not wet enough. It's a real hard, consistent mud. That hooks a lot of horsepower. Also, it causes the track to have ruts in it, which can throw the drivers out of shape. Plus, it has a tendency to cause what they call a porpoising effect, meaning the front end of the cars will come out. So the real dry clay presents a lot of problems, and I'll be real truthful with you. This track's kind of got me spooked here today.
Interesting, because, you know, not even being behind the wheel of the car, it's definitely going to be scary for the guys who are right now lining up on this line. This is going to be the best run of the day, too, because the track is in the best shape it'll ever be in.
Yeah, it's like a Kansas highway now compared to the way it's going to be the rest of the afternoon. Let's see what's going to happen. Gentleman named Lane in the far lane, Valeria near lane. Oh, man, look at that.
Well, you can see Joey Quick. The track almost throws him over. It certainly almost throws him out of the mud pit. But look at his time, a 3.5. You can't be happy with that time. If you take a look at the replay here, you'll see that the bottom of the pit is obviously not level because here he does the wheel stand, and then there's the kick. It had to be a scary run for Joey in the Joey Quick and not the time that he wanted. Let's find out how the run went.
Guys are really taking some wild rides.
Oh, yeah, it's getting pretty ridiculous out there. It's hard to even work with the track like that. We're trying our best, trying to get as many times down as we can, but it's hard to get anything going with a track like that.
Well, let's see if Tom Martin can get it going. Now, here's a guy who can walk away with the win in the points series if he can put a good run together here. Tom Martin in the Super Trooper could walk away with the win right here.
Martin is your current national points leader, and he's got it on kill. Look at the rippling coming off the heat of the engine out of the headers. Meanwhile, he'll be going up against a tropical disease. Martin sitting on top of this thing. The championship right now, Tom Rivers, is his to win or lose. Pressure is on Martin in the far lane. Time to beat the 3.53. Oh, he's after it. Oh, he had it on kill. Here it is, a 298. That's the new number.
Meanwhile, Rodney McGlynn in tropical disease obviously looks like it broke his transmission. But let's check in with Tom Martin on that run. Army?
Tom Martin, a 298.2. You had to be tickled with that.
Yeah, I am. You know, just to get the car down that track is amazing. And this car's been handling good, running good. If a good, solid finisher, will put us in a points championship lead. So it's important right now.
298, a great time for this track today. Will the track hold up, and how the points going to stack up? We'll find out when we continue with more racing from Indianapolis when we come back. Welcome back to Trucks and Tractor Power. I'm Tom Rivers, along with Army Armstrong, your host. We're here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and if you're looking at those scooper tires, you know it's Class 6 mud drag action.
Brian Harold's going to be coming out in the Surf Rat vehicle. Harold will be in a far lane. A driver named King in the lane closest to us. Harold's crew chief and father comes over, resets the tack. He's ready to go racing. This kid is the future of the sport. His competitor waits patiently for him to come into the lights. Normally, he'll come in late for a quick light, Tom. Let's see what happens here.
Well, the time to beat again is Tom Martin's 2.980.
Oh, quick light. Look at there. And then something goes away on both vehicles.
Boy, the Surf Rat, Brian can't be happy about that time, a 3.8.
See, the mud, even though it looks real slippery right now, it's Don King sits in the Blown Wild vehicle, sitting in the transmissions are letting go. They're breaking stuff just crazy. It looks slickery. It's not. Keep an eye on the blower. He actually hangs an intake valve, banging a blower right there and doing a lot of damage. I think the engine even broke loose from its moorings there, so a lot of damage to that vehicle structurally.
We're pulling up to the line now. Two of the baddest names in this sport, Rodney Covington and Steve Behrman, are both going to be racing. Of course, you see Chemical Reaction there on the close side.
Both of these guys could go bear hunting with the switch. They are not afraid of anything. If there's such thing as a kamikaze mentality in the sport, you're looking at two of the guys that have got it. And that's why. Wow. How about that?
Nice run.
What do you think? Did he do the number? It looked good to me.
Nice run. Oh, darn close. 2.988. The time to beat was a 2.980, and Rodney Covington comes in at a 3.0.
Covington relies on Chrysler for horsepower, but the 27 Roadster you're looking at now relies on the Audi horsepower out of New York. Again, beating and banging its way to the end, Tom.
Nice straight run, not quite enough, and rough on the cars. Army?
The drivers do not like the track they're running on today in this Class 6 competition because the big scooper tires and the big horsepower engines are not sticking to the track. What's happening as soon as they hit the throttle, the big scooper tires, yeah, they'll grab a hold of some of the clay, but almost as quick as they grab a hold of the clay, they'll unload the chassis. It's about like hitting a speed bump in your passenger car at 50 miles an hour. When they unload the chassis, it throws the vehicle up in the air. Now we got a problem. RPM in the engine, and then the vehicle comes down and lands again, and what happens? Those big scooper tires grab a hold of that track again, and it's tearing all kind of drivetrain components out, like the rear end you're looking at right now. Basically what the drivers are telling us, it's 180 feet of breaky track out there.
Breaky track. Is that a technical term? I guess it would be an achy breaky track for Billy Ray Cyrus racing.
I am from Kentucky, you know, and we do have our own way of saying things. Speaking of saying things, alley-oop comes up now. You know the story behind alley-oop? He was a mean motor scooter and a bad go-getter in a rock and roll song back in the 60s. Well, you weren't even born then, I understand.
Let's see how the alley-oop can fare on the track. It's Campbell versus Wheeler, and the time to beat now is a 2.980. Now,
these vehicles are not supercharged. They're giving away about 500 horsepower. I really don't believe they're going to be able to tap dance on that ET for quick time. They run nitrous oxide, and a lot of people think this is the way to go in the sport. Oh, we got a driver in trouble, Tom. He's going over. He's going to high-side it on the big end.
Looks like Rick Wheeler hooked a wheel. It pitches him right over. You can't see with the smoke whether or not the
I think keep an eye on the safety crew starting to move in now. They're en route. This competitor drives off. Okay, you can see him coming out now.
I see him out the side. There's the safety crew. It looks like he's okay. Took the neck brace off.
Boy, you see this stuff, you hold your breath, acknowledges to the crowd he's okay, but yeah, that's tough. You don't like to see this.
That's the fear in this sport, and especially on a track like today's track. This is where you can get into real problems.
The replay is going to show you he actually made a decent run through the pit, 180 feet long, but when he came out of the pit, Tom, the vehicle made a move to the right. Now, remember, these guys think if I can get on the gas and spin this thing out, I won't high side. Not the case here. When he went up on the throttle, he went up on the horsepower, and he also went up on his head.
Wow, you see the car shedding a lot of parts there. It's good this is the last race of the season because he's going to need the whole offseason to put this one back together. Let's take a look at it from another camera angle. You can see that he just hooks that tire in the shutdown area, and that's right there is where it flips him over and puts him on his head. It could be the torque of the engine that causes the problem. It sure looks like a candidate for the "and they walked away 5" video that's going to be out soon. Well, it's not a laughing matter, especially because, if memory serves, this is the second time that Rick Wheeler and the alley-oop have been upside down.
First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, buddy, we're okay. We're okay.
Looked like the roll cage and everything held up the integrity of the roll cage, but, you know, it's been a tough day all day long. Everybody's been saying somebody's going to get on their head, and you happen to be the man.
Right. Yeah, well, like I say, the track was getting slippery. I mean, there's a lot of humps and stuff in it. When you come out, you just didn't know where you was going to go. You know, and it's a shame for this car because, we worked hard. We started the season this way in Lima. We ended up upside down, and now we're finishing the season this way. I mean, I hate it for the people that helped me. Halfco Racing, Dick's Performance Parts, Elks Auto Parts, Mike and Jack Swick. I mean, the guys helped me a ton.
Well, they're going to try and get the alley-oop cleaned up, and while they do, we're going to take a short break. Take a look at your top 5 leaderboard. Who's sitting on the top of it? Tom Martin with his run, followed by Behrman, Covington, Wheeler, and Villarreal. We'll be back to Indianapolis in just a moment. Welcome back to Indianapolis, where it's Class 6 racing action with the mud drags, and back to the line here with the track in obviously very tough shape today.
Ron Pence, far lane, many-time national champion. He likes to run it real hard. He's going up against David Chick, and both drivers are just throwing caution to the wind. Whoa, Pence gets a kick out of the opposite lane. Remember earlier, the first run of the day, we got a kick on the end.
Look at that time. Ron Pence with Tater clocks a 2.805.
Kick wasn't bad.
Time on David Chick, 3.3. Probably not real happy with that time.
Starting line is very important. Replay shows us he gets up on top right now and has got a wheelie going all the way through the end.
I don't know that those wheels hit. He looks like he carried them all the way through the 180 feet of mud. Tater clocking a great time. Let's talk to him about it. Here's Army.
Ron, a 2.80, but I don't know whether to congratulate you on driving a mud buggy or landing an airplane. You were halfway in the air out through there.
Once you come down hard, it's hard on elbows.
Does it beat you around pretty good when you're sitting up in there?
Yeah, just bounces around pretty good. When they come down like that, well, it hits pretty hard.
A hard hit, but a great time, and now the time to beat. It's Tater time to beat with a 2.80. He'll be the one to watch now.
Guys trying to beat it. Greg Sharp, you're looking at him now in a Jeep-looking vehicle. He'll be going up against Jeff Ballard in a vehicle that was put together as part of a high school project down in the Bluegrass State in a industrial arts project, and he is a hired driver out of the Bluegrass State.
Boy, nice run. Nice straight-ahead run for Jeff Ballard in T-Rats. And look at that, very close, 2.81. Very close to Tater's time, but not quite there.
Those kids in Kentucky are doing their homework to put something together to run that quick. A 3.64, not anywhere near the time that's going to be competitive today for the Jeep. So right now, we're finding out if you can get up on top of this mud, you can run. And we got a couple of heavy hitters coming now. You can see the S-kicker in the far lane, Jeremy Finley. He'll be going up against Chuck Courtney. It's going to be a war. Mark my words, we got a war at our hand.
Boy, well, close to each other there. Finley, obviously very competitive driver all the time. An S-kicker with a 2.83. Close again, but not enough.
Yeah, like playing hand grenades. But the mud missile went out of bounds. He was disqualified. He'll receive no time. Now we got a unique vehicle coming up. It's a Ford-powered vehicle. I say unique because not that many people run the Hemi Ford engines. That'll be in the lane closest to us.
The Boss is going to be driven by
Jeff Myers will be driving the Boss vehicle. Mike Correa in the far lane in the Jeep Imperium. I say Jeep Imperium because what they are, the fiberglass replicas of these different things like Jeeps and 23 Fords. Time to beat's a 2.80. These guys can do it if they can get on top. We're seeing that now.
It looks like either lane's giving folks good runs at times, too. It's not as though there's a favored lane.
That was a good run.
Nice run for the Boss. Nice time there.
Big Ford making a lot of horsepower at 283. He's there.
Still not enough, but a good competitive time for Jeff Myers. And Mike Floria in Just Add Money clocks a 3.2. Again, not close enough. Let's take a look at the replay.
If they can get on top, look at it, it's really smoothed out, believe it or not. Like I say, they're just hitting the high spots, but that's getting them on the other end pretty quick, and the Ford was making a lot of muscle horsepower for them.
Two more vehicles staging now with those alcohol engines getting ready to run, and Darren Ovington is one. Obviously, heat means horsepower, and so they're trying to give the engines a chance to heat up, as is Dan Brown, one of the nicest guys in the sport in the BDS mind games.
Both of these guys, again, are good numbers. They're both working their time going into the lanes. They know what they've got to do. The longer that motor runs, the more horsepower it makes. They know if they make a lot of horsepower, they can get on top of this thing. And again, this race is not over by a long shot yet.
And it looks like the track is coming around when you look at the times
I believe it is.
The track has gotten better.
My goodness, that was a run. Oh, man.
I would say much better for Dan Brown, who, look at that time, a 2.7.
Well, Brown showing us he could do it, a 2.7. Awesome run, gets up on top, building that horsepower you were talking about, Tom, and it was there like skipping a rock. He was going to the other end, but look what happens when he comes out of the pit. Those vehicles are still hooking to the right real bad.
Are going sideways, but it's got to be a time that Dan Brown is very happy about. Let's check with him. Army?
Dan Brown, while you're getting your helmet off, I'm going to tell you Mike Hickerson will be proud of this run. The number we get was 272. Put you quick for the day.
All right.
Yeah, man, rough track. Stood in it. Thought we was going to go over there a little bit. Got crooked coming out of the pit, but there wasn't nothing straight out there. But we just stood on it, and the car run great. And we drawed a late number, and we're satisfied with that. That'll do it.
Let's take a look at the top 5 standings. Dan Brown with his 2.72, followed by Pence, Ballard, Finley, and Myers. We're back to the Indianapolis Fairgrounds in a moment. Welcome back. I'm Tom Rivers along with Army Armstrong, and that's a great shot of Dan Brown, our current leader today, who so far has the fast time on the track. You remember Dan was part of that 4-way tie for number 2, just 15 points behind Tom Martin. At this point, with his fast time, he might be the man.
Yeah, he is the man. Believe me, the guys are all knowing they've got to just throw everything to the wind. Brown has laid down a good shot. Gordon Chess will be coming up in a rear engine vehicle. We're looking at John Hadley right now. Pops a visor down. You notice that these guys do all kinds of things to keep from getting hit in the face with that mud. Now this is, out of bounds, a tough break. This is the guy that we thought may be able to tell us something. Gordon, with this different engine setup, you notice it's a rear motor setup. Not going to be his day. He was DQ'd at 384 with the 6 for John. Not the number he was looking for either.
Looking at it from this angle, you can see that in addition to the rear engine mount, it's also got a solid suspension in back, which may have caused the problem there and may have been what sent him out of bounds.
Gordon, everybody was keeping an eye on you because you're a rear motor, small block setup, and they thought that you might be the guy that could figure out how to get through there without getting hooked in a rut. Not the case.
It's real roly-poly out there, and it's real wicked to keep it straight, and it's just real hard to keep it going good.
Well, he's not the first driver to be challenged by this track today. It's been giving people all kinds of problems, and as they come up to the line, they've got to be thinking, I need horsepower to beat Dan Brown's time, but I also want to make sure that I don't turn it over.
You're exactly right. Both the vehicles on the line now run a nitrous oxide system. They're giving away some horsepower to Brown. Now, notice on the far side, the purging of the nitrous system. Nitrous makes its own atmosphere. It makes instant horsepower. This setup, not like Brown's, that makes horsepower all the way through. They'll go about 3 feet, hit a button, and then instantly make more horsepower.
Boy, Army, look at Mike Keene's hands on that wheel.
Well, they call that saw on the steering wheel. He literally had his hands full. Pete goes to 331. Number's not going to affect the top 5. I'm kind of anxious to see what our busy man, Mike, he went at 385 and went about 100 miles to go 180 feet the way he was driving that thing. Stressed out coming out now. It's a 23 Ford going up against another 23 Ford, a touch of madness. These 23 Ford body styles are real popular in drag racing and a competition eliminator years ago. Right now, these guys are just trying to figure out how to get down this track on top of this mud. Look at the heat coming out of the engines. They've got these engines on kill, Tom.
Set on kill, and Roger Sherwood and Gary Reddick have their sights set on Dan Brown. These are the last 2 guys who could possibly knock Dan Brown out of the lead, and I don't think it's going to happen, Army.
I don't either, but still at the end of the race, everybody's hooking to the right. A 299 won't do it.
And the 3.25 from Gary Reddick isn't good enough either, so Dan Brown in the BDS Mind Games is accepting congratulations for the quick time of the day, and because he was tied for number 2 in the points, only 15 points behind Tom Martin, that also makes Dan Brown our 1996 Class 6 points champion. And Army Armstrong is with our new champion now.
Dan, congratulations on not only win today, but the win of the national championship. Boy, it's been an up and down year for you guys, losing Mike, the partnership, and it's almost like he was up there looking after you today.
You bet you, Army. I tell you what, we sure had a lot of good people out there looking over us today. We've done what we needed to do coming in here to get the championship, and won today. And I tell you, there's a lot of tough cars, and we had our work cut out coming in here this morning, but everything worked out, and we thank God for that. And with Mike, we hope you're proud of us.
Well, a good guy winning the championship this year, the Class 6 championship. What a great day of racing it's been, and how many beautiful trucks there were here.
Well, I tell you what, and it does go to show good guys can finish first.
Absolutely. The show and shine competition here was incredible. You're looking at just one of the amazing trucks here at the Indianapolis Fairgrounds.
Crab walking down the midway.
Let's take a look at Dan Brown's championship run one more time.
You know, but Brown wins the championship this year, but believe me, with this run, a lot of guys know what he did. They'll be loading both barrels and coming after him in the future. For an example, keep an eye on old Tater out of Missouri. Pence says, I can get Brown. I'll get him next year. Let's see if he can live up. He's talking the talk. We're going to see if he can walk the walk.
And we're happy that someone else walked away from today's racing action.
Alley-oop. Hook to a rut. on the gas, high sizes. Oh, plenty of action at the great Hoosier Mile in Indianapolis, Indiana. What a great way to wrap up a year of racing.
For Army Armstrong, I'm Tom Rivers. We'll see you next year.